I've been a lifelong Mega Man fan, and seeing Mega Man 11 hit store shelves, I had to get my hands on it. But does the Blue Bomber bring a bombastic experience to the new generation, or is this one just a mega disappointment? After playing through Mega Man 11 multiple times on multiple difficulties, I'm a bit torn. The game is a fine example of how you would do a by-the-books Mega Man experience. There's 8 Robot Masters, Dr. Wily's involved, a little bit of a plot, though it never really gets in the way or amounts to too much or really adds too much to the Mega Man lore, and has solid gameplay from start to finish. There are a few differences, though, that make Mega Man 11 a bit of a unique experience. Graphics, of course, are going to be one of the big polarizing subjects when bringing up Mega Man 11 amongst the other classic games. The thing is, though, they're perfectly fine. The 2.5D perspective, 3D models for the characters, and overall world in Mega Man 11 is nicely done here. It isn't anything spectacular, it didn't endear me as much as maybe the 8-bit games did, but there's nothing wrong with them. The new graphic style ends up giving more character to the Robot Masters and Mega Man himself. When you actually get a new power-up in this game, Mega Man's helmet and arm cannon change up with each new ability. I also like when you get these new abilities, you have the option to test them out in the testing ground before moving on to the next stage. The Robot Masters themselves are nothing special as far as themes, but the battles this time around are very enjoyable. Robot Masters have a fair amount of moves at their disposal. These battles felt more like Mega Man X series battles than necessarily Mega Man original battles. Stuff like changing forms or getting desperation attacks the farther into battles really added a lot of depth to them, and honestly, the Robot Masters and bosses in general are a big highlight for Mega Man 11. Another big element of Mega Man 11 that stands out is the gear system. Now, Mega Man has the ability to control time, slowing it down, or you also have the ability to power up with double attack for a period of time. A meter depletes, and once it runs out, of course you have to wait for it to refill to use this again. This cool ability is not necessary by any means. You never really have to use it to beat the game, though there are a few moments where you have some really tight squeezes if you don't use the time stop ability, which I think just adds to the overall difficulty of the game, making it more enjoyable. But having that time stop ability, as well as the double attack, ends up adding a lot of gameplay depth potential as far as maximizing boss damage or being able to sneak by areas without really having to worry too much about the damage. They do a good job of utilizing all the buttons on the controller. Of course, the classic NES only had the 2 main buttons for you to use, but with plenty of buttons here on modern consoles, they use them well. Being able to pull out the Rush Coil and Rush Jet on demand, as well as being able to have both the gear buttons and being able to switch between your Robot Master abilities quickly, allows you to really never have to pause the game or bring up the menu unless you really want to. The level designs in general are okay. A few stages were a lot more enjoyable than others, but of course, this is pretty standard for classic Mega Man games. I wasn't a huge fan of Bounce Man or Block Man's level, but I very much enjoyed Torch Man and Tundra Man stages. There is a Bolt Shop, like a few of the later classic Mega Man games, so you can buy a few upgrades for Mega Man to have them equipped with them, or just buy stuff like energy tanks. The game's also relatively short. It's your average Mega Man title, so you're going to go through the 8 Robot Masters, a couple of Dr. Wily levels, and that's it. The game took me roughly about 2.5 to 3 hours on my first time through. If you're not as good with Mega Man games, it may take you a bit longer, but still less than 5 hours. From the technical side of things, though, I'm happy to report there was no crashing or other major glitches. Mega Man 11 is available now on the PC, PS4, Nintendo Switch, and Xbox One for $29.99. It does feature a Platinum Trophy on the PS4. Overall, when it comes to Mega Man 11, it's a bit too by the numbers for me. The graphics are perfectly fine, the soundtrack was kind of bland to be honest, and the lack of more playable characters other than Mega Man like we saw in Mega Man 10 was just another small thing that just added up to being that Mega Man 11 is perfectly fine, it just didn't do anything to really stand out as extraordinary. With everything said though, I'm going to be giving Mega Man 11 a 6 out of 10. That's going to wrap up this review though. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.